Hey everybody, my name is Tamir Berg and I am a cloud solution architect based in Tel Aviv, working at NetApp's Cloud Innovation Center. Now, I've actually recorded this session for you all to get acquainted with the new tool we've recently released, and that's Cloud Backup Service TCO and Savings Calculator. NetApp's Cloud Backup TCO and Savings Calculator is a simple way to estimate your ONTAP data backup costs, as well as potential savings, with cloud backup being compared to traditional backup vendors. The service can be used for both on-premises and cloud-based ONTAP systems. So let's start. As you can see on the left side, you got a few configurable parameters. Most of them are pre-populated with industry benchmark standards, but can be changed. First, we'll choose the preferred cloud provider. For this specific demo, I chose GCP. Now, upon changing the hyperscaler of choice, the below node changes with the appropriate tier, the one that will be used for the cloud infrastructure. As you can see over here, storage costs are subject to the published GCP list price for the nearline tier. By the way, CBS also supports the archive tier when it comes to GCP. Okay, so now we'll set the amount of data we would like to back up. Let's go with 150 terabytes of data. Now, on the left side tooltip, you can actually see that we're referring to the logical used capacity before efficiencies in terabytes. And that's because the second parameter is the efficiency ratio we have on the data in our current environment. Okay, so the efficiency ratio will also be calculated, and on the left side tooltip, you could actually see that for this example, let's say a 1-to-3 ratio, it actually translates into around 67% efficiency on the data. Now, for this specific demo, let's assume a use case in which CVO provides NFS volumes to be used as data stores for GCV, for example. Okay, so as you guys probably know, for this specific workload, we're talking about somewhere around a 1-to-10 ratio in terms of efficiency. So again, going to the tooltip, you can actually see that it translates into 90% efficiency, which is great. Next would be to set the data retention policy based on the number of daily, weekly, and monthly copies we'd like to maintain. Now, standard policy is usually 30 daily copies, 4 weeklies, and 12 monthly copies. But again, these can be altered. So again, for the sake of this demo, let's say I want to have 20 daily copies, okay? As you can see, everything is completely interactive and changes as you go. And for advanced users, you can also set the monthly change rate and growth rate. So a 3% change rate and 1% growth rate is data we've taken by inspecting NetApp's install base worldwide. But again, if you know otherwise, you can change these as well. Let's do 2% change rate, just for the sake of example. Now, these will all be taken into consideration when calculating the total cost of ownership for both alternatives. And now to the right side. As you can see, we have two bars, one for CBS and the second for the competition. The reason CBS is comprised of only two elements is that with the development of the service, we were working on simplifying the solution and engineering it in an efficient way to eliminate some of the costs required for generic data protection solutions. So we have the license cost and we have the infrastructure cost. Each bar shows you the breakdown of the different elements required to implement the solution for a period of 1, 2, and 3-year annual scope. Hovering over these bars will expose these elements. Now, while CBS only requires a license and the object storage infrastructure, when discussing third-party solution, other elements are required as well. While CBS uses ONTAP's native SnapMirror cloud to back up data directly from ONTAP into the cloud with efficiencies enabled from the get-go, alternate solutions require local hardware to be in place, both locally and in the cloud. Servers to actually move the data from one place to another, specifically to a local storage repository before shipping it off to the cloud. This is being used as some sort of a proxy entity. Now, once written to the local repository, the data will be formulated using efficiency mechanisms and only then be written to the object storage. So we have the license cost and we have the dedicated hardware, which I've just mentioned, both compute and storage. Other elements are professional services and project management. As opposed to CBS, which can be up and running 15 minutes once the decision had been made, data protection solutions usually require time, anywhere between a few days to a few weeks, if not months, in order to implement. Once up and running, training on the new system will initiate, getting everyone on board, as such solutions usually have a pretty steep learning curve. Also, since development keeps rolling out, usually there will be a yearly, if not a bi-yearly maintenance event to perform software upgrades or hardware refreshes, which is redundant with CBS, as it's a SaaS, meaning that all maintenance and upgrades operations are done automatically in the backend, bringing you all the new features without you needing to schedule lengthy and risky maintenance windows for upgrades. Now, once that's clear, let's review the total cost of ownership. And by the way, what you see is NetApp's Cloud Backup list price versus an aggressive discount embedded for the competition. So we have TCO for the third-party vendor, we have the TCO for Cloud Backup service, but let's not forget that we're talking about cloud and consumption-based pricing. So at the top of each bar, you'll also be able to see the price per gig per month, taking all the different elements of each of the solutions into consideration. And with these two figures, we should be able to see the total amount of savings potential with NetApp's Cloud Backup service versus the alternative. And there you have it, for 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years, obviously. And lastly, the two buttons below will allow you to A, receive an email breakdown report directly to your mailbox, or B, go to Cloud Manager and start exploring the service using a free trial. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions or require any additional resources or info, please feel free to reach out. Tschüss!